Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video, and today I'm doing my WWE Monday Night Raw preview for February the 10th, 2014. And Monday Night Raw this week is from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, and Monday Night Raw is live tonight at 1 AM. So, we've got a lot of things to talk about for Monday Night Raw this week. The first thing is that WWE Universe tweeted out on their Twitter account that legendary TV star at Betty M. White is on Monday Night Raw live at 8/7 Central on the USA Network, and they also put, "What's your favourite Betty TV moment?" Now you're probably wondering, why have they got Betty White on Monday Night Raw? Now they're really trying to splash the boat out and put it out there ready for the WWE Network in 2 weeks. They're trying to bring in a lot more viewers, let a lot more people more interested in the show. We know WWE hasn't been particularly that great in the last few weeks, so they're bringing on a big TV star to up the ratings and hopefully get some more fans interested in WWE, and that should hopefully help with the Elimination Chamber buy rate and also the WWE Network buy rate on its first day of launch exactly in 2 weeks today. So Betty White hopefully brings in more ratings and makes people even more entertained by Monday Night Raw and more interested to watch next week's Raw if they enjoy this show with Betty White on it. But I'm not particularly sure what she's actually going to do on the show. She might even be used to probably put over Randy Orton's heelish character, or maybe even Titus O'Neil, who has just turned heel. Any heel will probably be it would be helpful to use Betty White to put over their heelish character. So maybe Titus O'Neil has only just turned heel. Any heel in the WWE could be used against Betty White to put over their heelish character. I don't know. They might not even use her in a segment, but at the end of the day, it'll help bring in ratings and make them more socially active whilst Raw is on TV. Now, first things first, we're actually going to talk about the wrestling. John Cena versus Randy Orton is main eventing tonight's Monday Night Raw. Yes, we saw it at TLC, we saw it at Royal Rumble, but we're going to get them in a singles match for free on Monday Night Raw, which isn't a particularly bad thing because both of their matches on the last two pay-per-views have been exceptionally good. But the fact we get it free on a Monday Night Raw isn't all that bad either. But really, a lot of people aren't even interested in the Cena and Orton rivalry anymore. Wasn't even interested in it at TLC, so for me, this could easily be a bit of a dead match for the last 30 minutes of Monday Night Raw. It could either be make or break. It could be really good and I'm entertained, or if the crowd aren't really into it and there's not really any bite to it, it could be a really, really boring last 30 minutes. So hopefully it has a bit of something to chew into, but it is yet again Cena versus Orton for the millionth time, so I'm not really sure if I'm going to be entertained by it or not. But really, it's a free Cena versus Orton match, which could be a 5 out of 5 match. Last week we had a good Bryan and Orton match, so maybe we can have a good Cena and Orton match, but this will be a good opportunity to build towards the Elimination Chamber. Now, Orton lost to Bryan last week in the main event of Raw. Christian, in fact, got beat by Randy Orton on SmackDown, so at the moment, Randy Orton is 1-1 against his Elimination Chamber opponent. So for me, I think Cena will probably win here. It is Super Cena after all. He is the babyface, so fans will want to tune off happy. But another thing is, you've got to build up that anticipation that Orton's dropping the title. So he's got to go into Elimination Chamber with more losses than wins. Because really, there's 5 other people who can take that title. So if Orton goes into the Chamber with a lot of wins against his back, then he looks the stronger competitor. And a lot of people are going to buy the pay-per-view to see Orton drop the title so he's a heel, because he's a heel. So for me, Randy Orton needs to go in looking very, very weak as a champion. So for me, Cena should get the big win here in the main event of Monday Night Raw to add doubt over Randy Orton's title reign and how build some anticipation to make people think he's losing at Elimination Chamber. So for me, Cena is probably going to win here as the babyface, and so that Randy Orton's title reign is put in doubt. But also, John Cena did in fact tweet earlier in the week that time to kill rumours about my eyeball. I am fine. I will be in Oakland, San Jose, Fresno, and Los Angeles. Help us haters, see you this week. Hashtag see what I did there. Now, we do know Cena did in fact get an eye injury at a house show last weekend, and he wasn't even on Monday Night Raw, and that severely hit the ratings for Monday Night Raw last week. If you go and check the ratings, they were exceptionally bad last week, thanks to Cena and CM Punk, two big names not being on Monday Night Raw. But from that tweet, you can now say that John Cena has in fact recovered from his eyeball injury, and he will probably have a good 30-minute match on the main event of Monday Night Raw. We might even see the Wyatt family still build towards the John Cena feud for WrestleMania. They probably won't do that considering John Cena's returning after a week. They want to keep the build between the Wyatt family and the Shield separate and then build towards Cena and Bray Wyatt probably after Elimination Chamber. So that might not happen, but you've always got to think about that as well. But to me, John Cena, it might not be a particularly long match considering John Cena is only just returning from an eyeball injury and they want to keep him safe considering the WWE Network's only just around the corner and WrestleMania 30 is just around the corner as well. They want to keep this guy fit and healthy. So to me, he probably won't have a long match with Randy Orton, but I'm sure it'll be good. But that does confirm he will be back thanks to his eyeball injury has now gone and he's fit to wrestle. Another person who did in fact get an injury was Cody Rhodes. Now, he did in fact do a moonsault from the top of the cage on Monday Night Raw last week in the tag titles match against the New Age Outlaws with Goldust at his side. Now, somebody asked on Twitter at Cody Rhodes, how's the knee, hashtag Rhodes to the future, and Cody replied, not injured, though I wouldn't say if I was, but really not injured. But in fact, he did actually tweet a picture of his knee in a knee brace earlier in the week. So there was some rumours that Cody Rhodes had injured his knee, but now he's saying that he hasn't injured his knee. Now, what happened was when he did the moonsault off the cage, he did catch a lot of the mats rather than one of the New Age Outlaws. Now, he probably should have been hitting the New Age Outlaws with 90% of his body, but he in fact hit the mat probably 50-50, so a lot of the impact was taken by the mat instead of one of the New Age Outlaws, so that really severely hurt his knee. Now, from this tweet, it does look like Cody Rhodes is in some tip-top shape, and to be honest, if they can manage it, it does look like Cody Rhodes will be on Monday Night Raw this week. He really needs to bounce back, if it's with Goldust or not, from that big loss on Monday Night Raw in the steel cage. It was the big top match on Monday Night Raw last week next to Bryan and Orton, and for him to lose, considering they gave the titles to Cody Rhodes and Goldust in the first place to push Cody Rhodes as a babyface, and the fact that they've now lost them, and then they took a second loss on Monday Night Raw last week, Cody Rhodes really needs to bounce back from that as he's lost a lot of momentum. So if they can squeeze Cody Rhodes onto the show, I think that they'll probably hopefully give him a big win against a top heel in the company, probably maybe against one of the Shield members, but definitely they should be giving a big win to Cody Rhodes here, as he and Goldust have lost a lot of momentum in the last 2 weeks, and the fact that Cody's currently on having a push and he's lost 2 big matches is not very good for Cody Rhodes, because I can see this guy being a top guy in the future, but really 2 big losses in the last 2 weeks isn't good for Cody Rhodes, and the only way you're going to make him recover from that is by giving a big win on Monday Night Raw this week, if he is, of course, healthy enough to have a match. It's all in doubt, but from that tweet, it does look like he is okay. According to PWInsider.com's Mike Johnson, quote-unquote, Big Show was back on the road this weekend. He was kept off the road for a few weeks to sell his beating at the hands of Brock Lesnar, of course, at the Royal Rumble. So it does look like Big Show will be returning to Monday Night Raw this week. And Mark Henry. Yes, Mark Henry is returning on tonight's Monday Night Raw. Now, they didn't really advertise it a lot because a lot of people don't even care about Mark Henry or even Big Show for that matter anymore much, because they've all done what they can give. They've all done what they can do in the WWE, and now they're just around to put over future talent. But to be honest, they only advertised Mark Henry once last week on the Monday Night Raw. They didn't mention it on main events or Friday Night SmackDown at all last week. I do watch both shows. And they haven't even mentioned Big Show is returning, but it is presumed that it is returning considering he was at all the house shows at the weekend. And also Mark Henry was given a vignette for his promo on tonight's Monday Night Raw. So it is a prediction that they are both returning on tonight's Monday Night Raw. Do expect them both to return as baby faces. I wouldn't expect them to either one of them to go heel. I mean, they were doing okay as baby faces. There's no point really switching them around right now, considering you've got a lot of beast guys who are heels at the moment. You mean you've got Batista, you've got Batista isn't a heel, but you've got Brock Lesnar in there. I mean, you don't really want to be swapping Big Show around and Mark Henry at the moment when you've got bigger beasts at the moment, such as Batista, the Brock Lesnars, the Biggie Langstons. I mean, Big Show and Mark Henry probably won't really be utilised that lot until they in WrestleMania time. But for me, you don't want to be really changing them around because they're not the key talent going into WrestleMania time. So do expect them to stay faces, but do be intrigued to see what their plans are for the pay-per-view Elimination Chamber. Maybe WWE will tag these guys up, or maybe they'll go their separate ways, but definitely expect to be finding out what their Elimination Chamber match will be if they are on the pay-per-view. They might not even be on the pay-per-view, but since they're returning, I wouldn't be surprised if both these guys, Big Show and Mark Henry, do have a match on the pay-per-view. And also, Mark Henry is back to celebrate the Black History Month, so I would expect a segment from Mark Henry on tonight's Monday Night Raw. WWE COO Triple H made it official on the Wednesday YouTube sit-down interview with Michael Cole on WWE.com. At Elimination Chamber, #1 contender Batista will square off against Alberto Del Rio. Now, this wasn't even put on the Elimination Chamber page on WWE.com, so it does look like they're saving to announce this on the Elimination Chamber page on WWE.com, and they're waiting to put that on the website for when they have a big showdown, which presumably will be on tonight's Monday Night Raw. So they haven't even put this on the website yet. They haven't announced that Del Rio will take on Batista at Elimination Chamber, which does make me believe that they're going to have a big showdown on tonight's Monday Night Raw for it to be announced. So do expect that to be on tonight's Monday Night Raw, a big segment between Batista and Del Rio, where their match does finally get announced, because it doesn't like they backtracked on announcing that match from the interview on Wednesday, because they want to have a big blow-off segment on tonight's Monday Night Raw for when it's announced. They didn't just want to announce it on a Wednesday interview. It does look like they may be saving it for a big segment tonight on Monday Night Raw. Also, Kane and Daniel Bryan. Now, WWE officials are discussing the idea of putting Daniel Bryan in the WWE World Heavyweight Championship title match with the Batista and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. Sorry, Batista and Randy Orton at WrestleMania, making it a triple threat match, or Bryan versus Triple H in a singles match. Now, Kane and Daniel Bryan are currently in a little bit of a feud. Kane attacked Daniel Bryan after his match with Orton on Raw last week, and on Friday Night SmackDown he attacked Daniel Bryan after his match with Cesaro. Both very, very good matches, thank you Daniel Bryan. But since we've already seen Daniel Bryan getting beat down by The Shield, by Randy Orton, by Triple H, and now Kane, I'm slightly getting bored of these segments. We've been having them since summer, so we've had 2 from Kane. For me, I think you've got to have Daniel Bryan come out on top on Kane this week on Monday Night Raw. I mean, for the last 2 shows on SmackDown and Raw last week, we saw Kane chokeslam Daniel Bryan. If he's going to do it for a 3rd time, it's not going to feel special, could possibly kill the crowd and kill the angle completely, because we've seen this between Daniel Bryan so many times where he just gets beat up and beat up. I mean, is it going to feel special the 3rd time? For me, Daniel Bryan's going to come out on top on this actual feud on tonight's Monday Night Raw. Whether they're doing this to Daniel Bryan to give him momentum going into the Chamber, or for WrestleMania, or they want it so they can set up a match between Triple H and Daniel Bryan further down the line. Nevertheless, I think you've got to have Bryan come out on top on tonight's Monday Night Raw. Fans are interested in seeing their top guy getting beat down every week and just not doing anything about it. So for me, you've got to have Bryan do something to Kane this week. Maybe he'll hit his finisher or make him tap out. Not particularly sure about that, guys, but I think you've got to have Bryan look the strongest out of the 2 on tonight's Monday Night Raw. So that's my preview for this week, guys. Hopefully you have, in fact, enjoyed this video. There's definitely a few things which could happen on tonight's Monday Night Raw. Thanks for watching. Take care. Spite your hair.